Hi everybody, and thanks so much for joining us again on one of our video visitations. It's a beautiful bright day, and we're filming today under some unusual circumstances. You may hear traffic sounds in the background, and that's because two of our front doors are removed here in the expansive narthex. And our good friend who you met last week, Patrick Casey, he's over in a corner sanding and staining and just doing that important work to make this old edifice a thing of beauty. Ain't that right, Patrick? All right. All right, meanwhile, over here in this part of the room, I have Mr. and Mrs. Moran. Mr. and Mrs. Moran.
Good morning.
Thank you, thank you. M-O-R-A-N?
M-O-R-R-A-N-D.
M-O-R-R-A-N-D, okay.
We're the only ones in the book that spell it that way, so it's...
All right. You forgive me. I think in terms of country music lyrics. And many years ago, there was a group. Oh, Lord, who was it? Anyway, their alter ego was Mike Morand and the Cadillac Cowboys. Oh, right, mighty fine. Do you remember them?
Well, you know what? I don't, but it wasn't me.
Oh, right. Do you remember them, producer? Karen? No? Well, they were awful funny. Maybe Patrick does. Patrick, do you remember Mike Morand and the Cadillac Cowboys?
No, sir.
No? All right, I guess I'm the only one who's lowbrow enough to remember these things. Well, anyway, Mike and Julie are relatively new parishioners. You've been with us now for how long?
Since January, around the end of January.
And your entree into this community came through your daughter.
Yes.
Our daughter, all of our children lived away until last year, and our daughter and son-in-law, youngest, moved home. They bought a home on the plaza and started coming to Visitation, and we came with them because it's great to be able to come as a family again to Mass on Sunday.
Well,
so
I imagine it would be.
Yeah, and then we fell in love with the community and met with you, and now I think you're stuck with us.
Well, anyway, I'm not stuck with you. We are very, very happy to have you. Delighted, in fact. So you've been around here not even a year yet, have you?
Not a year. No.
Not a year. And here you just kind of jumped in with both feet. You've attended the Christ-Renews Parish retreats and are involved in one thing and another. And today, specifically, we're here to talk about a very interesting initiative that I think is wonderful. I don't know what the spawn of it was. I'm looking at Karen Miller. It's just the sort of thing that she would come up with. Social Concerns Committee, the lovely Karen says. And the idea is to welcome an immigrant family into Kansas City.
Yes. Yeah. The refugee assistance program really is something that both Julie and I had a real fondness for when we heard about it. We love the fact that the parish is engaged in social issues, and thought this might be one that we could maybe get involved in.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I used the word immigrant. I should have used the word refugee. That's more specifically it.
A little bit different situation, sure.
Yes, sir. I noticed from, I'm sorry, I'm watching somebody walk through the narthex. Reading the announcements on the weekend, I noticed that they mentioned something that I had never heard of before, called what? The Visitation Refugee Assistance Committee.
They're cheering it.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is a mouthful, and it is also a most unusual name for a committee. What is the genesis of the Visitation Refugee Assistance Committee?
Well, let's start first with kind of developing the need, how the need came about. Since 2014, about 1,200 refugees have been made their way through Kansas City with the assistance of Della Lamb. And in the last 10 months, about 400 of those have come through, which is a huge percentage increase. And so the need is really there. It was there since Delalam started, and now it looks like it's really starting to exponentially become very important. Our newest refugees are from Afghanistan, but they could just as easily, our family could just as easily come from another part of the world, such as the Ukraine or Sudan, or actually any number of countries that have been touched by war or continue to have political unrest.
And a couple of things that Delalam told us that we thought were really interesting. One was that the refugee families don't get to select, don't pick where they're coming to. And the other thing was they don't come from their home to us. They mostly come from refugee camps. And in many cases, the people have been there for years. So it just makes it all the more important that we welcome them as warmly as we can as a community to Kansas City.
Yes, ma'am. So they don't pick us and we don't pick them. I guess somehow or another an agency appoints a given family to Delalam. Delalam, by the way, as I understand it, is a Kansas City organization that's been around for decades, I think, and their chief business is resettling refugees. I mean, I think they go way, way back to the time of Vietnamese refugees and maybe even before that. I know they're a great organization. So we don't have our family yet, do we?
No. In fact, the process really starts with us making a commitment to host a family and help them through the refugee process. Then we start collecting the items necessary for the program, which is house to home, and those items include things like furniture, kitchen items, bathroom and personal grooming items, linens, the things that you would normally think about when you're starting to furnish a home. Those are the things that we're in the process of collecting now.
And then later on in the month, when Delalam knows more about who's coming and when, they will match us as a visitation community with a particular family. And at that time, we'll tweak our list that they gave us. As an example, if they have a baby, we'll add diapers and blankets and a baby bed to the list.
Right.
And then they'll tell us date of arrival and location of their home. We'll go in and we will clean the home, and then we'll move all of the items that have been donated over to the house, organize them and do a final clean. And then the most significant, I think, and the greatest thing is that we'll get to welcome them when they come, and we'll provide their first meal for them.
And Julie, this home could be anywhere in Kansas City?
Yeah, it could. They're such pros at this. They've been doing it a long time. One of the things they told us was that they tend to try to put families from certain countries together in an apartment building or what, so that they can form a community when they get here. That's so important. But no, we don't know anything about that part of it.
Okay. I see. All right. Well, we'll be hearing more about this as time goes on then, and we know the identity of our folks. Delalam, it sounds like, provides the house or apartment, and we provide the moral support and the material support for them in their home. And this is a outgrowth of the Social Concerns Committee, which I think involves also St. Francis Xavier Parish, doesn't it?
They, in fact, contacted us this week and told us that they are going to go through the process as well.
Okay.
And we shared with them what we had gotten from Delalam so far and how we're doing our project so that they might do the same. Okay. So they've made a connection to us already.
Great. Well, then as time goes on, maybe you'll come back and tell us more specifically what we need and how we can respond.
Yeah.
But this is a good general introduction.
If-
So are we already collecting things?
We are collecting, and parishioners can go to the website. They'll see the picture and the link to the list that we have out there. Karen Miller has a table and a bin here for people to bring their items with them when they come to the weekend masses. We're also going to be collecting furniture, just not right now until we know more about the arrival time.
Right.
Anyone who has furniture can tell us about that. Our contact information is on the website or in the bulletin. We're trying to get everything together by August 21st. We're also, if anyone wants to give a monetary donation, they can earmark that and send it to the office. And committee members are going to be in the narthex this weekend after Mass to answer questions or visit with people that want to stop by and talk about the project. One thing we wanted to say is if for any reason parishioners aren't able to help at this time and really have a desire to help or volunteer their services, we hope to do it again. If this goes well as a first effort, we want to welcome more families in the future.
Yes, ma'am. All right, good deal. I appreciate knowing this and look forward to hearing more about it in the future. And this weekend, of course, I'll make it very clear that there'll be folks out here. Maybe you'll even be among them to talk to the people.
We hope that our Mass that we normally come to is the 8 o'clock Mass, but we'll have volunteers at all three Masses, so
Yes, sir.
Questions and maybe even volunteer sign-ups. We still need some volunteers for the actual moving process where we're going to move the items, place them in the house, do a final cleaning, and organize the place for our new neighbors. But again, as Julie said, there are a number of ways that you can sign up to volunteer, and I won't go through that process again. But you asked a little bit more about the information. We don't have the information yet, but we expect to have some information on our family by the end of the month. And of course, when we receive information, we're going to pass it along to the visitation community so that everybody can keep tabs and learn a little bit about who our new neighbors are going to be.
Right.
And we thank everyone who's donated. We thank everyone who will donate. It's a great blessing for the family that's going to be matched with us, but it's a greater blessing for us as a community to welcome a family here. And thank you so much for having us today to talk about it.
That's my great pleasure. I like having people to do this with me, and I don't know, I don't get very many takers. I don't know why.
Scary.
I'm scary, the producer says. Well, I don't think I am.
I'm teasing.
I know you are. I know. So anyway, we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, otherwise, trying to think of what else might need to be said. School starts a week from tomorrow. Oh man. No, it doesn't. It does. Yeah. Well, I didn't know. Anyway, yeah, it starts a week from tomorrow. I met with the faculty yesterday briefly, and they seem hale and hearty, happy. It was, I will tell everybody, I hated school. Just hated it with a capital H, a capital ATE too. Ugh. And so I go up in front of the faculty yesterday in Ty Hall, and I said, "Well, I'm sorry, summertime's about over. Got to get back to work. I guess you just can't stand the thought." And in the room, they all said, "Oh no, we're happy to be here. We like this." Blah blah blah. So I was stunned. I was just stunned. So I mean, I'm encouraged that they're excited to get going, and it's just a very great and positive atmosphere about school. So I think it'll be good. Anything else, can you think, that needs to be mentioned? Okay. All right, well, thanks everybody. I think I'll be here next week. And we have any guests next week?
Keep that a surprise.
Oh, a surprise. Okay, all right. Well, Karen, is there anything you want to say? Not a thing? Okay. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Until next week, goodbye and God bless. Wasn't that easy?